Welcome back, True Seeker. Just caught wind of something. Shout out to Seth Israel. Sent me an email with this image. He said, Zach, you got to see this. And the reason this image is important is because it's something we've been talking about since before this event happened. All year, the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder have been doing rituals together. And they were the only two teams, for example, the day of the Super Bowl that played in the NBA, and they both got wins that day, and they both ended up being the number one seeds. And what we've been talking about is how it fits in with Joe Biden. And if you're like, wait, how does it fit in with Joe Biden? Two ways. Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic, and Joe Biden is the most connected politician to the Oklahoma City 95 bombing. Right before that happened, Joe Biden spearheaded the nation's first counter-terrorism legislation, which then just a couple months later came up nice and handy after the Oklahoma City bombing. But there's also another connection here through Joe Biden. The day that Joe Biden announced he was running for president, it was April 25th, 2019. And on that very same day, John Havlicek of the Celtics died. And this matters because Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. So, John Havlicek died in Jupiter, Florida, where Tiger Woods has his restaurant, where there was that weird death connected to his restaurant years ago after the hot affair in room 201. But, again, John Havlicek dies April 25th in Jupiter, Florida, 2019. Jupiter in astrology is Zeus, and Zeus is the thunder god. So we've been talking about this, right? This theme all year. Well, now here we are in April 25th this year, literally the 5th anniversary of John Havlicek's death. The star of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he names his son Aries, the son of Zeus. And again, he's the star of the thunder. Aries is the son of Zeus. But again, just it ends up being on the anniversary of John Havlicek's death. So if you think these things are a coincidence, again, here's the next layer of information that you now have to dismiss as coincidence too, because this goes with a long pattern we've been talking about year after year. Notice that from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's birthday, July 12th to April 25th, it's his 289th day of his age. And the square root of 289 is 17. We call the NBA the 17 League. You might recall once upon a time, LeBron left the 17th state, Ohio, on the first day of the 7th month, and then in his 17th season, which was with the Lakers, he won the Lakers their 17th championship. And we saw that come in the day that he left Ohio in that 1-7-17 ritual. But there's just so much 17 with the NBA. When John Havlicek died, he wore the number 17. He died 17 days after his own birthday. And then he died on Joe Biden's day that he announced for president, and Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. Joe Biden's Secret Service name, Celtic. So this is the greater connection, that Havlicek, one of the greatest Celtics of all time, dies on the same day. And then since then, there's been this recurring 17 pattern. Do you remember the finals the other year when the Warriors beat the Celtics? And then on the last day of the Jesuitic Nation year, July 31st, Bill Russell dropped dead. He went to the Jesuit College San Francisco and played for the Boston Celtics. Jesuit-run NBAs we're always talking about with these number rituals, scripted games, scripted death rituals, scripted birth rituals. Again, just to rewind, in the last week, a big story was the death of Francis Ngannou's infant child, Kobe. Kobe in Gematria equals 15. That child died 15 months after it was born. A lot of suspicious stuff with childbirthing and sometimes young children of celebrities dying. Lots of suspicious stories like this all throughout history. A famous one is Eric Clapton's child supposedly crawling off the balcony of the hotel. Again, you look back at it through the numerical lens, it doesn't look like that's what happened. But yeah, this thing right here about the Thunder gone and Zeus and just all of these storylines we've been talking about this year, I want to bring this together a lot more for you and show you that this is way beyond coincidence. We're going to go back through past examples, what we've been documenting year after year, what we document at the start of the playoffs. The start of this year's Celtics playoffs began with a big 17 ritual versus the Heat, perfectly synced with Joe Biden, as we'll get to. Same patterns over and over. But yeah, a tribute to Zeus, and if I didn't say so, the day of the week that's named after Zeus is Thursday. Thursday is Jupiter. Jupiter is Zeus. His child was born also on a Thursday. Again, on the 289th day of his age, square root of 17. Let me see here. Just to take you back to the death of John Havlicek when we covered the post. Havlicek died 17 days after his 79th birthday, born April 8th, which is fitting to be a Celtic because Boston Celtics equals 48 in Gematria. But died 17 days later, again in Jupiter, Florida. I've been talking about this thing with Havlicek since it happened back in 2019, but this year it rattled my brain when I saw how the Celtics and Thunder were moving together. I said, there's something about this. And again, we're coming up on this climactic moment for Joe Biden's presidency. And don't forget, you guys, Joe Biden took office at age 78. This is the 78th NBA season this year. The finals do start on June 6th, which will be the 78th anniversary of the Celtics being established, funny enough. And there's only 3 teams in the whole league with a Gematria connection to 78. It's the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the New York Knicks. And it's very possible that the Celtics face those teams in the playoffs. They do face Cleveland today. Today, Cleveland gave Orlando their 78th playoff loss, closing them out. And a nice big scripted comeback. But again, Joe Biden, Secret Service name Celtic. Joe Biden chooses Celtic as Secret Service code name. What's funny is that headline didn't emerge until over a year after John Havlicek had died. But it all comes together as you just follow the script. And then you think about Joe Biden's in D.C., known as the Masonic City. Modern Freemasonry created in 1717. The American sports all credited to Freemasons. In the case of basketball, it's Naismith. But the word Mason equals 17. And the Masonic headquarters in D.C. is at the address 1733. Mason equals 17. Masonry 33. Joe Biden, the day he announced, the day John Havlicek died, it was 156 days after his birthday. The big way Boston Celtics 156 with numerology applied. Instead of 156, it's 48. And again, you just take the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. That's how you get this value. B is the second letter. O is the 15th. S is the 19th. The numerology way, you just make each letter a single digit number. So B is already 2. O, the 15th letter, becomes 1 plus 5 is 6. S, the 19th letter, 19 becomes 10. 10 becomes 1, so S becomes 1 instead of 19. So that's how you get a smaller numerical value. But whether you do it the big way or the small way, you're going to get the same numerology digit as well. Like the numerology of Boston Celtics 156 is 1 plus 5 plus 6 is 12. 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. The small way Boston Celtics is 48, like Havlicek's birthday is 4-8. But 4 plus 8 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. Havlicek was 79 years old. That's the 22nd prime. Boston's 22. Basketball's 22. Part of the reason we like the Cavs to win today, too, was Cavs eliminated the Magic today, and their star player, Donovan Mitchell, got his 22nd career postseason win to advance to play Boston today. So just to show you how the same stuff's happening all the time. In the big scripted league where they're always telling you they couldn't have scripted it any better. Havlicek died at 79. Society of Jesus has that Gematria 19179. John Joseph Havlicek, his full name 191. Catholic is 46, so is Celtics. Joe Biden elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, the nation's second Catholic president. The first was JFK, killed at age 46. And then there's RFK, who was assassinated as well in 68. And RFK and Joe Biden have the same November 20th birthday. They're just born 17 years apart. Joe Biden was born on RFK's 17th birthday. Oh, I closed it. Joe Biden, November 20th, 1942. RFK, November 20th, 1925. And I'm sure you guys know all about how RFK Jr. got in the race in the big Jesuit ritual. It was a Thursday that year as well, the year that Havlicek died. It was a Thursday, named after the thunder god as he dies in Jupiter. Catholic and Thursday, they have that 3546. JFK number 35, killed at age 46. Again, if you're new here, alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology applying. Joe Biden inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. At the same time that was going on, they had this thing up, 17 months. All of these stories over the years. You should go back and look at this one about Putin likens himself to legendary warring Russian monarch. The way history repeats itself. Might have been a gem overlooked. But, yeah, and then just a little bit more on John Havlicek. Again, dead 17 days after his birthday. Big NBA number. Havlicek, 71 like Celtics. About forwards and backwards. Celtics equals 71 forwards, 118 in reverse. When they just closed out the Heat, they became 7-1 versus the Heat for the year, beating them with 118 points. But yeah, the 79, the 22nd prime, the word murder has the gematria 79, his nickname Hondo, 79 like his age of death. The other way, murder's 83, like the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. If you've never heard the song Murder by Numbers by the Police from 83, read the lyrics. Killing is the sport of the elected. That song makes a whole lot of sense when you're looking at an example like this, where it happens the day that Joe Celtic Biden announces he's running for president. And then again, they've been syncing up the playoffs with Joe Biden year after year, and we've been documenting it with undeniable examples. So again, just like when Joe Biden gave his gun control speech after Uvalde, and remember, he showed up in Texas on May 29th, which is JFK's birthday, who was assassinated in Texas. But Joe Biden gave his gun control speech on June 2nd, the 153rd day of the year. 153 is the 17th triangular number. And he spoke for 17 minutes. He referenced the number 17 several times in the Uvalde shooting and other shootings. And when he closed out, he said they'll mourn for 17 more days. And that same time that he was giving that speech was the same time the Celtics went on a big comeback, 17-0 run to beat the Warriors in the NBA Finals game. Before, of course, they lost the series, and they fell to 17-5 that year in the finals. Golden State equals 175 like Pope Francis. Catholic Church equals 75. It was the 75th anniversary season. The Warriors got their 75th road win in the playoffs all time, becoming 7-5 in the finals when they beat the Celtics. And if you go back that year to that same season and look at the game from December 17th, that's the Pope's birthday, you'll see the Warriors beat the Celtics in Boston, and they dropped Boston to 7-5 at home. Boston would then go on to lose the 75th anniversary season to San Francisco in a big Pope tribute, because again, all roads do lead to Rome. Again, it's the Jesuits who are behind this. We're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope. Boston, very Catholic city. In light of this being the 78th NBA season, and again, Joe Biden taking office at 78, don't forget that in Gematria, Kennedy equates to 78, and they're very much connected to Massachusetts. They're a Massachusetts family. Boston Celtics 78, Kennedy 78. Boston about to play Cleveland. If they get through Cleveland, they'll likely play New York in the Eastern Conference Finals. And here's where this stuff gets extra interesting. Like, if you think this is all a coincidence, the day this child was born, Aries, for the star player SGA, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He named his child Aries, the son of Zeus, the thunder god. That child was born on the 116th day of the leap year on a Thursday, April 25th. Thunder god and Thursday, both 116 and 46. Going back to Havlicek's death in Jupiter on the anniversary of Joe Celtic Biden announcing. But notice if you run it the other way, Thunder God's 154. Again, look at this ritual they had with the NBA G League this year. The G League championship was on 15/4. 15/4, right? The day after the regular season ended for the NBA, they had the G League championship, and Oklahoma City beat the Maine Celtics on 15/4. That game was 52 days before the finals begin on 6/6, and Oklahoma City equates to 52. The letters OKC, like they were on the jersey, are 52. 52 goes back to the Pope, goes back to the church that venerates Jupiter, Zeus, the thunder god. Again, scripted sports, scripted politics, ritual death, ritual birthing. These are all the themes we've been talking about since the beginning of putting this research out and presenting it to the world. I mean, like, if you're not with us on Patreon, this doesn't seem as interesting to you because you haven't heard us talking about this theme and how these things come together and what they're doing this season with these teams. You see how the day of the Super Bowl, there were only 2 games in the NBA. The Celtics got their 41st win. Remember, in Gematria, Super Bowl equals 41. That's why we had Mahomes to get 2 passing touchdowns in the game to get to 41 in the postseason for his career. He did it with the game winner. But Celtics got the 41st win in the day of the Super Bowl. And funny enough, they did that last year too. And they did not go to the finals last year, so keep that in mind. But you see how they did it over the Heat? They just beat the Heat in the series 4-1. 4-1. If you go to what happened here, actually I'll show you here in a moment what the Boston Red Sox did the day that the Celtics closed out the Heat 4-1 in the series after they got their 41st win against them earlier this year. Remember, with regards to the Jesuits, their suppression lasted for 41 years. USA equals 41. This country was formed in the time of the Jesuit suppression. The Thunder, though, on the day of the Super Bowl, they got their 36th win. Thunder equals 36 forwards and backwards. So symbolic win, right? Again, just have these things go together. John Havlicek, now Shea Gilgeous-Alexander with the child on the anniversary of his death when he died in Thunderland, Jupiter, Florida. You see how the Thunder won with 127 points? The Celtics just advanced over the Heat 4-1 exactly 80 days later. And there's a relationship with 80 and 127. Bavarian Illuminati has the gematria of 80 and 127, and the Celtics advanced on the birthday of the Bavarian Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, May 1st, 1776. So check this out. Let's go to that May 1st closeout game where the Celtics closed the series 4-1. Celtics advance over the Heat right here, 4-1. Again, they win with 118 points. Was there something about Havlicek's death in 118 as well? John Havlicek. Did I skip that part? It's down here in the notes. He had it. So here, let me just pull up the calculator. I was thinking, isn't there something about John Havlicek in 118 as well? John Havlicek. 118. You see that? A lot of interesting numbers up here. 206 and 62 connect to sacrifice. It's funny, I got sent this article on today, May 5th. The organic side of the whole thing. But John Havlicek, 118. Celtics, again, 118 and 71. Like how, again, when they closed them out, they became 7-1 against them for the entire year because they were 3-0 in the regular season, 4-1 in the playoffs, but 7-1, 118. Heat equals 34. They lose by 34 points. Lose with a symbolic 84. On this same day in Major League Baseball, May 1st, you had Boston playing San Francisco, like what was the finals in 2022. And there was a young pitcher on the mound for the Giants. I'm trying to remember if he was making his debut, but it was 78 days after the Giants pitcher's birthday. And of course, the Red Sox were going to beat him and get to 7-8 at home during the time of the 78th NBA season as Boston moves to the next round of the playoffs. And now they'll face Cleveland, the team with the 78 connection. And then just about the San Francisco thing, of course, you got Curry out there who was born in Akron, Ohio, in the same hospital as LeBron. There's probably something to that. Again, the Bill Russell thing. Bill Russell died on the last day of the Jesuitic Nation year, July 31st, when 31's the 11th prime, and he had 11 championships. And again, he went to Jesuit San Francisco University. and had a legendary, unprecedented career with Boston. I mean, one guy with 11 championships. Only the Lakers and Celtics have 17 championships, and then everyone else is like way, way behind him. He'd be third all time in just championships as a unit. He's a human being, though, not a team or a franchise. But yeah, these things are not an accident, you guys. That's the point I'm making. These things are not an accident. When you have this knowledge and you just follow, you can see like the stuff that they're doing, and then just so often you'll be like, oh my God. I mean, do I need to prove my point anymore? Now the star of the Thunder's having a child on John Havlicek's death anniversary? Because this is what we've been talking about, just where his death anniversary from 5 years ago fits in with this moment, and why it matters that Joe Biden was 78 back then. And again, you guys, there is a cabal, and they are the Jesuits, and they gave us the language and the calendar, and they're syncing it all up, and they're controlling the celebs. And for anyone who'd say, well, how do you make this happen? Again, there's a number of potential explanations. I mean, you can get you can get, if they want to make sure that you are impregnated, you can get the medical procedure done, right? To make sure it's a sure shot, or the surest shot possible. And again, we know how long the period is for a child to be developed, so they can aim for things. And then of course the other thing you can do is, if it's looking like you're going to be some days off, you can always do the old C-section. But yeah, one way or another. And here's the one other thing to say: he didn't announce this child's the star basketball player. He didn't announce that he had a child born until April 30th. April 30th was the day that he announced that he had a child born. So he announced 5 days later. He's a basketball player, right? 5-on-5, 5 years after Havlicek's death. But part of me goes, well, maybe the child wasn't really born on April 25th. Maybe they fudged the numbers. 20 years from now, we'll be watching SGA the second. We'll watch him play at Georgetown. Then he'll be playing for the NBA. You know what I mean? So we've wondered before, how is everything so perfect? Do they fudge the numbers? How come he didn't announce it until April 30th? It doesn't really matter, though. Those things are besides the point. The point to understand is just the high ritualism, the rigging, the scripting, the planning. Here's what they did this year. The first game of the playoffs for the Celtics and the Heat. This game was 153 days after Joe Biden's birthday, the 17th triangular number. And the Celtics came into that game with 17 wins against the Heat in the playoffs. They came in with 17, picked up their 18th. They're in pursuit of 18. Trying to be the first team to get to 18, tied with the Lakers at 17. When the Celtics won that game, they won it with 114 points, presidential number. Hold on, I want to show you all the 17s. If you go back and listen to, I have it linked right here in this post. If you guys want to come to my website, GematriaEffectNews, Joe Biden calls for 94 style assault weapons ban. In the speech, he mentions the 17 dead and 17 injured at Stoneman Douglas, and how the town of Uvalde will mourn for 17 more days, and talks about how the shooter got his assault rifle at age 17, and then gives a 17-minute speech. And again, that was coinciding with the NBA Finals that night, back in the time of Warriors-Celtics, the night the Celtics had 17 unanswered to come back and win the game. We've been calling the NBA the 17 League since forever, and explaining the Masonic connection and why modern Freemasonry goes back to 1717. Again, really, you just look at this, you shouldn't be able to look at this and go, oh, it's all going to be coincidence. No, stop. The Masonic city is D.C. Look up if that's true. You'll see that it is true. It's nicknamed the Masonic City. Look up if their headquarters there in D.C., the House of the Temples at the address 1733. Look up if it's true that in 1717 modern Freemasonry was created. It was. 59 is the 17th prime. This nation was created 59 years later in 1776. And in Gematria, Freemasonry equals 59. Mason 17. Joe Biden, the winner of the 59th presidential election. John F. Kennedy, 59, killed at age 46. Joe Biden becomes number 46. Has the same birthday as RFK, born the day that RFK was 17. Now Joe Biden old, some people questioning if he's going to make it to the election. RFK Jr. saying somebody wants to assassinate him. They're not giving him secrets of service protection. Just all these storylines merging too. The way they pay tribute to history because they got it all planned. Because they cooked up the whole script. But yeah, how perfect. The 116th day of the leap year on a Thursday, the day of the week named after Jupiter, connected to Aries. And again, Thursday is 116, like Thunder God is 116. SGA names son Ares, who was the son of Zeus, god of thunder in Greek mythology. And again, if you got here late, feel free to rewind. But the thing is, just all year, we've been talking about what they've been doing with Thunder and Celtics and how it seems to go back to John Havlicek, who died in Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter is Zeus. And again, how he died synced with Joe Biden announcing he was running for president. And again, you guys, just think about how when we were in Oklahoma City the other year to educate about what really went down April 19th, we nearly got a chance to talk to the general manager of the Thunder. He was out in front of the church where they were having the ceremony for April 19th, standing by himself, and just starting to ask him if it was true that he was the general manager. I was going to ask him at the time about LeBron's Mega 17 ritual with the Lakers and him winning on the real King James's birthday with the Cavs. But before I could even hardly get out any words, the police just swooped in and took him off in an unmarked car. But again, we need somebody to answer these questions. They need to be answered in a big way too, because all the ritualistic death, like we were just talking about, the former Laker, Michigan Wolverine, dead at 33. Somebody left a comment that the young man who just died from the NBA and college basketball is related to the rapper The Game too. If that's true, funny how that is. If that is true, as the same person pointed out, The Game is 44 years old right now. All right, but yeah, I just wanted to put this out there and make sure everybody sees this narrative. And yeah, again, if you're not with us on Patreon, we've been talking about these things a long time. And just so you know, this doesn't mean necessarily that the finals is going to be the Celtics and the Thunder. It wouldn't shock me if it was, especially how it's synced up with that G League championship. And again, you know, for people who are like, I need to see the screenshots, or like sometimes I'll give you guys the screenshots of the gematria and stuff, and sometimes I'll just tell you how it is. Again, feel free to double check things, but this point I made down here about, again, Oklahoma City beating the Celtics on April 15th in the G League championship when Thunder Gods 154. Again, the finals this year start on June 6th, so just look for anyone who needs to see it with your own eyes. April 15th, 2024, finals begin 6-6. If you're like, how do I know the finals begin 6-6? Just look something up for once in your own life. I'm not telling you guys false stats. That's the day the finals are scheduled to start, and you can look up and see that is the Celtics' 78th anniversary of establishment. But it's 52 days later, and we've always called OKC the 52 city. OKC, just the abbreviation alone, is 52. And Oklahoma City, when written out, is 52. You know, the other night in the playoffs, they had the 16th home game of the season, and home teams were 13-3 by the end of that game. That was the night that we got the big upset of Miami over Boston in the one game where they shocked him as a 14.5-point dog. And it was all synced up with the Pope. Miami stayed on 129 playoff losses 129 days after the Pope's birthday, and the coach of the Pelicans stayed on 129 wins versus Oklahoma City. If it wasn't, I'm pretty sure they were playing Willie Green and the Pelicans, Oklahoma City, but whatever coach they were playing on stayed on 129 wins. Both games 129 days from the Pope's birthday, just to remind you who's syncing up all this stuff. And don't forget, 52 is a big number with the presidency. But yeah, if you guys don't know about Joe Biden and his bill that was passed on Governor Keating's birthday in 95, go back and look, February 10th, 95. Joe Biden's counterterrorism bill passes on Governor Keating's birthday. And then 68 days later, the Oklahoma City building blows up. And of course, the word terror is 68. And we always talk about everything that went down in 1968, including that being the year of Timothy McVeigh's birth. That was even 4 years before Joe Biden was a senator, but I'm sure they were grooming him for the part in 68. Probably in an MK Ultra lab at wherever they got it. Anyway, these numbers are bigger than Oklahoma City too, this 52 number. Like, here's a list of words that equal 52. Government, authority, president, White House, Republican, Pope, 52-week calendar year. But yeah, that number is in Oklahoma City. And you think about it, just a huge ritual that they did on Ignatius of Loyola Day. Again, that's the day Ignatius of Loyola became the first superior general of the Jesuits, April 19th. But Ignatius of Loyola Day, and the Jesuits created counter the 95 Theses. There's so many Jesuit fingerprints over what they did in Oklahoma City. But it's the heartland of the country. Let's not forget the word heart equals 52. You guys just saw what they did in Arizona. They overturned the 160-year abortion ban, and it got the governor's signature on May 2nd, 5-2. The word heart equals 52. Infant developing in the first 15 weeks, its heart will beat as fast as 160 beats per minute. So they overturned the 160-year ban on 5-2. It was the anniversary of the Samuel Alito memo leak that he was going to overturn Roe v. Wade, or that Supreme Court was. But yeah, 52 is a big number. Oklahoma City is the heartland, central to the country, not far from Texas, down where Biden was for Uvalde on JFK's birthday anniversary. Kind of like how last year he waited to go to Maui until it was the 64th birthday of Hawaii as a state, when Joe Biden equals 64, and so is Barack Hussein Obama, the one elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act, running on hope, which equals 44 forwards and 64 in reverse. Anyway, I think I got the extent of what I wanted to say down, and yeah, again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who supports the work. If you want to continue this conversation, join us on Patreon. We talk sports and things like this almost every single day. So sometimes there's really interesting things in those streams that just come up in real time because news is breaking. But yeah, thank you again to everyone who hits the like and the share and supports the work. And until next time, True Seeker. Oh, hold on. I got to say one more thing too. $Amy CTC. Again, if you guys have heard me talking about it in recent days and you've still been thinking about sending that dollar, she still does have some bills to pay. You guys have helped her out a lot. Thank you to everyone who did help her out. But again, if you guys don't know Amy, she does the website cracktheircode.org. A great help to the community. And just some bad dominoes fell against her and her family in recent times, and just a little bit of stimulus from the community has helped her out a lot. And if she could get a little bit more, it could get her over the hump. So if you got $1 for Amy, AMY, like Amy, you know that name, 3-letter name, and then her last, she has 3 letters at the end, Charlie, Tom, Charlie. So Amy CTC, Charlie, Tom, Charlie, CTC. All right. Yeah, we will leave it there. And again, thank you to everyone who did help out Amy. Again, she's more than grateful. Till next time, everybody.